The first point we have for today, Stephen, in the Australian economy is back in December 2022, there was a price cap on gas which was introduced in an effort to lower household gas bills for Aussie consumers. There's now word, though, that it could be extended into 2025. But since they brought in this cap and brought in these new efforts, what effect has it actually had on the price of gas within Australia? And do you think it was a wise idea to extend it into 2025, or was there a better way to do it?
It's the most stupidest fucking idea that's ever been brought about by a government. And it just keeps going to show that everything that the RBA is trying to fight with inflation and all the cost of living and all that is government induced, right? The world gas price has plummeted outside of Australia. It's back to $2.10 an MBTU, right? Or a thousand cubic feet, and the Australian gas price is over $15 a petajoule. So, but if you equate that, it's about $6, right, on the international stage. So it's the Australian gas price is 2.5 to 3 times more than what it needs to be. But that's what happens when you put a cap in place, right? So you put a cap in place, and what happens? The market will rise to that cap. Right? It won't stay lower. It will rise to that cap and bounce off it and stay there, right? And what happens is production slows so that the price does go up to there. It happens all the time. It's just a natural thing. It's not price gouging. It's not anything like that. It's just the market, right, will react to that way from interference on the outside. So Australians are paying more for our gas because of the government's inability to fucking live. And they will extend this to 2025 because they're just serving their fucking corporate masters. If anyone out there believes that Labor aren't beholden to large corporations, you want your fucking head read, because they're more beholden to large corporations and the super funds that control them, and then thus the union movement, than the Libs. The Libs are fucking screwed. They have no support from big business, which is always, most people think that the coalition and the Libs have big business in their pocket. Never, ever, ever, ever. Maybe in the 50s and 60s, but never since the 80s. Because, and especially not since the late 90s, is the union movement in Australia controls most of the superannuation funds, which controls most of the ASX 200, which is most of the large corporations, right? So Labor and the union movement control everything that happens in big business, right, in this country. And big business will do whatever they say. All the CEOs and all that sort of stuff are all inner city electoral fucking idiots who just will do anything to keep their job, same as politicians. So you end up with politicians scratching the backs of corporations so they can make super huge money. And then the government's turning around saying, well, you can't make that money, right? And then they put stupid things like this in place that then rips more money out of the average person and puts it into the pocket of the corporation, which then keeps the whole cycle going again, you know? And that's the problem. Everything we are facing in this country today is government induced. And it started under the Libs, started under the coalition, and it's now been finished off well and truly by Labor. And having Labor pretty much in every state and territory, I can't see it getting any better. You know, we're just pricing ourselves out of the ability to become prosperous. Government interference is just ridiculous. So if they extend this to 2025, another 2 years, expect gas prices to remain super high when the rest of the world's gas prices will go probably sub $2. Even though pretty much anywhere in the world that a good gas price is around 280 to 320. So that would be, if you looked at that, around $9. The petajoule rate here in Australia. But yeah, not the $15 odd. Well, it's over $15, 16, 17 or whatever it is at the moment. So yeah, expect that. And then gas feeds into food production. It feeds into electricity production because we keep shutting coal down. A lot of cars and machinery and all that sort of stuff run on gas as well these days. All your chemicals are produced from predominantly natural gas. So that means that your fertilizers and all that sort of stuff, all your inputs are going through the roof because of one policy from the government, which, could have quite easily have changed. We have more gas in this country than we know what to do with. We have way more gas than what the LNG exporters can use. So yeah, no, it just makes me sad and angry that so-called intellectuals, people like Chris Bowen, the Environment Minister, he just wants to be liked on the international stage and couldn't cares if he fucks the country. And Albo's the same. Look, he's jetting off to the coronation and, swinging through India or wherever he went and, just glad-handing.
So really the gas price rises and the extension is just the tip of the iceberg. That's going to have a lot of effects to all of the other areas like what you mentioned in transport, food and all that. Yeah,
it's a major flow on. And now we've got this stupid thing where gas is a transition fuel, right, because of the so-called climate fucking emergency and bullshit, so we're going to get more renewables. That the problems we're going to face is all stemmed by one policy, but the government wants that. I'm 100% convinced that this government wants to create misery for everyone.
Yeah, I don't think anyone disagrees with you there.
It's pretty ridiculous. So anyway, but that's that's what happens. Governments interfere in markets, and the market will respond to what the government's doing.
Yeah.
Well, just on before we go, there was one of the big Japanese CEOs of the big Japanese chemical companies that buys our LNG to produce chemicals. Can't remember which one it was, Sumamoto, Incitec, with the parent company, Incitec, one of them anyway. Mitsui, it's one of the real big, it's a top 10 company in Japan. He came out and said the price cap, right, because he knew what was going to happen. He knew that the prices would float to the price cap, right, where their contract price was well below the price cap, and they're buying more than what their contract is, so they're having to pay the spot rate. Right? And he said, and because what happens with caps as well is, as I said, companies will stop production and all that sort of stuff. So he came out and said that this is a move very similar to what the US did to Japan, so Japan had to enter World War II. That's a very big threat, and basically what he's saying is you're starving our country of energy because you're a dickhead, right? And this is what happens. You get these people, these politicians that think Australia is something in the world. We're fucking nothing. If you take away our resources and take away our agricultural products, all we're shipping around the world is bad education, Yahoo tourists, and maybe a couple of pretty pictures of kangaroos and koala bears. We have nothing else, right? So no, yeah. So it's an interesting thing that this guy said that what the Labor government here was doing was very akin to what Roosevelt, was it Roosevelt? No, the guy before him in the US did to force Japan into the war. So